So the title of this video is Do Hard Things. So 2 weeks ago on a Saturday, I did a hard thing. I completed my first ultra run, a 50K, at the age of 58. So that in itself is hard, it's difficult. Add to that I signed up for the run 3 weeks out from the run, and I did little to no training for the actual run. So it became even harder. So I'll tell you what, let me back up and kind of give you the whole story. So earlier this year, I had wanted to go ahead and get more into ultra running. So after searching, looking for different runs, I found one that was going to be held in Georgia. It was a 40-miler, and I felt, with proper training, time as far as the run, I could go ahead and do it. So I went ahead and signed up for the run, put in the work as best I could. Things happen, life happens, but I felt comfortable going into that run that I at least trained as best I could considering the circumstances. And when I did the run, felt good, was making good time, but ended up with a DNF. So did not finish 20 miles into the run. So while I may have done the training for the trail, the actual distance, I didn't account for the actual elevation because it was in the mountains. So I finished up and still wanted to do an ultra run. Still wanted to go ahead and complete my first ultra run. So I looked and looked, and a couple things popped up, and then finally I saw one at the National Whitewater Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where I do a lot of my training for trails. And it was coming up down the road. So I kind of hem and hawed about it, went back and forth, not much time there to get any training in, how do I feel about it. Yes, I actually do my training on those trails, but wasn't too sure. Finally made the decision 3 weeks out from the run to go ahead and sign up for the run. I figured, okay, do my normal running, 5 to 7 miles a day during the weekdays, long run on Saturdays, normal training, was still lifting pretty heavy. So I figured I'd just go ahead and keep that, and since I knew the trails for the most part, I felt comfortable that I would be able to do fairly well. Signed up for the run and was planning on just doing my normal stuff, and life and accidents happened. Life got busy, had an accident, flayed my lip, and interestingly enough, even though you have stitches here, you would think it wouldn't bother you as far as running. When you run, you feel the stitches pulling. And actually I had the stitches pulled out the Monday before the actual race, which was Saturday. So, at this point, I didn't have any training. Started climbing, some walking elevation. Like I said, I was lifting. Really didn't have any other training that I was getting in. So at this point, I could have said, you know what, I'm not ready for this. Let me pull out of this. Let me not show up. But I decided to see it through. So, come the morning of the race, it was a 6 a.m. start time. It was a loop of roughly 10 plus miles, all single track trail for the most part. This would be the first time that I'd be running with a headlamp. So the first, like I said, it was 6 a.m. So the first couple hours, the first loop would be running with a headlamp. Sunrise was expected right around 7:30, so I was going to have a headlamp first time running with it. As I said, I could have said, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this. I didn't do the training. I've never run with a headlamp before, but I still lined up for the run. And actually, let me stop here and give a shout out to the National Whitewater Center. They put on a great race, from signing up to the shirts to the medals to the aid stations, which were really well stocked. The people at the aid stations were fantastic, lots of support, very giving, very helpful. The whole race as a whole could have not asked for a better race, better organized race. So shout out to the National Whitewater Center for putting on a really, really great race. But anyhow, so lined up for the race, did the first loop, running with a headlamp, pretty good, better than I expected, even with those type of trails. Came back in, second loop, 10 plus miles in, took off the headlamp, replenished, didn't get as much of the electrolytes and salts that I needed, which was going to affect me later on. So we'll get to that in a second. But grabbed my group packs, got some food, headed back out. So halfway through the second loop, so at this point, 15 miles into the race, I started getting a cramp in my left calf. It was cramping bad. Then my back was hurting. It was really tightening up my right calf. I also started hurting, cramps. And then my left thigh, at one point, I stopped to let a bike rider go by, and I froze. It was cramping so bad, it took me a minute before all the pain left and I could actually move. And after that, after all these aches and pains, I was down to run, jog, power march through the rest of the course. And as I said, this is single track. It is a lot of hills, rocks, roots. So it was difficult. So for the last half, the second half, the last 5+ miles, it was a walk, run, jog, power hike, just to get through it. And I contributed later on to not really having enough electrolytes in me for that half. So that was my fault. Came back in for the third loop. Now, this is 20 some miles in. At this point, like I said, I was in pain. I was cramping, my back was hurting, I was in pain. I could have said, you know what, I can't finish, I can't go back out. There were people who were coming in before me, other runners, and this was the ending of their third loop. So they were finishing the race. And I'm seeing them celebrating, and I could have easily said, you know what, I can't do this. Did another DNF, did not finish, and just packed it up and went home, and that would have been it. I could have told friends, hey, I had the story of I was hurting, I was in pain, it is what it is. But I got some more electrolyte tabs, got my goos, got the food, and checked my time, checked with the people, make sure I wasn't running into a cutoff. They said I was good to go. I went back out there. That was a hard decision to do, but I went back out there. Did it get better? The cramps eased up a little bit after I got a little bit of electrolytes in, but they were still there. Back was still in pain. It was still a power hike, walk, run, all the way through the last loop of 10 plus miles. It was difficult. At this point, I was feeling it. I had a rock that got in my right shoe at one point or another, and every step was, that rock was reminding me on my foot to, hey, I'm here, I'm here. Couldn't find it, but it was there. Toes were hurting a little bit. Yeah, I was in pain. But depending on whether you look at ship time or the time on my Garmin, I finished 8 hours, 57 minutes, 9 hours. So like I said, depends on which time you look at. But I finished the race. And I'll tell you what, it was the right decision to go ahead and head out on that third round. Having that feeling of finally completing an ultra run for the first time in my life at the age of 58, completing an ultra run for the first time in my life, period, was amazing. I felt like, okay, I'm actually in some elusive club now because I've become, as my wife said, you're an ultra runner now. Do I plan to continue? Oh, I've already been looking at what's coming up next year. This was it for 2023, but I'm already looking at 2024. I want to take a look and see what what other 50Ks are out there, and go ahead and improve my time, stretch my distance a little bit. Playing it smart, but still, continuing on. But I was elated as far as being able to finish this run and have that medal and being able to say I completed this 50K. So there were times where I did hard things. I did a hard thing by showing up instead of just saying, you know what, I didn't do the training, I don't feel comfortable with this, let me just not show up, sleep in, not be out there at 6 a.m. in the morning, getting up at 4:30, 4:15 to be able to get the food in, get everything ready, make it out there. I could have slept in, but I didn't. I could have easily, at any point during the second round, talked to an aid station person and said, I can't take it anymore, I'm done, I'm cramping, I'm in pain, and not finished, but I didn't. I kept on going. At the beginning of the third round, seeing other people who've already finished and still being in pain, and knowing I had another 10 plus miles ahead of me, I could have said, you know what, not today. Today's just not my day. I could have said I didn't get the training, the electrolytes were bad. Whatever excuse I could have come up with, I could have said that, but I didn't. I went back out on that loop and kept on going and kept on going. So the moral of the story is that, we all have situations where we have to make hard choices and do hard things. It's not just in ultra running. We have it in life all the time. I know this year, between the cancer diagnosis and my father dying and all kinds of other things that have happened, and I'm not looking for pity, but all kinds of other things that have happened, had to make hard choices, do hard things. And we all have that. It doesn't go away. It happens throughout our life. And it's a matter of, do you want to make excuses and not step up, not line up, not follow through? And there's always excuses. Or do you want to choose to be strong, choose strong, do hard things, go that extra mile, just go one more, and just keep on going? I'll tell you what, throughout this year, as I made those hard choices, and including the race, I'm glad I made those hard choices. Were they tough? And are they tough? Going through some of the things? Yes. But I look back, and I'm sure I will continue to look back and be grateful for making those hard choices because of what comes from those hard choices, what comes through seeing it through, what comes through taking that extra step. So, like I said, the title of the video is Do Hard Things. I know we're all have the opportunities to do that, and I would encourage you to see it through, line up, step up, go that extra mile, and choose to be strong and do those hard things. So thank you for stopping by, and I hope to see you at the next video.